Placid.
Watch what you say, Mel.
Placid.
Watch what you say, Mel. I don't have to take this anymore.
Welcome to my horror podcast. How you doing?
I am doing very well. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. When you said yes to coming on, I was like, oh, good, because I always see you posting spooky, creepy stuff. And I was like, yes, we can have a great conversation. It's going to be awesome.
Yes. Yeah, I was very, very, very honored that you asked me to come on here and do this with you today. So.
Oh, that makes me feel so, wholesome.
Wholesome, spooky girls. That's what we got.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you please do me a huge favor and introduce yourself for our listeners?
Well, my name is Steffi, but most people know me as Graves. I go by Immortal Graves on the internet. I am a Canadian horror lover. I do a lot of horror gaming over on Twitch, and I love writing and learning and watching horror anything.
I feel like I should get into horror writing. Because some of my ideas are just really messed up, and I think they need to be in a movie.
You need an outlet to put them somewhere.
People will be like, so this movie you got going here about sleep paralysis demons, no, you're insane. This happens to people, Catherine. People go through this.
Yes, it's so
yeah,
true.
Put it in a movie.
Well,
put it in a movie.
Well, that's what horror comes from. It comes from, there's always, under the top layer of all the gore or humor or whatever it is that's there, it's based on the real life things and how we sort of handle, we process them through horror and stuff like that is what I find. So there's always something that there's a reality underneath the gore and the violence and everything else.
I think it's a really big reflection of not only society, but in individuals and what we fear, and addressing those fears in a really visceral and, I don't know, a narrative rather than, this is how I feel, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely, takes the fears and it sort of, in some ways amplifies them and it sounds weird, but amplifies them to a point where there's control over it almost. I know that's kind of a confusing way to put it. It's kind of difficult for me to put that into words. But especially when it comes down to the slasher horrors with the final girl and stuff like that, that's a way to sort of have control over whatever is the fear of that's actually driving the killers in those movies and stuff like that. Or the reason behind the deaths and everything like that. So, and I find you can really look at almost any horror movie and find some sort of underlying thing that is like you said, not just society, but us individually and our fears.
Yeah, absolutely, and how we try to rationalize those fears as well, and a response to those fears. And I think that's why I really like horror movies, because I can sit there and pick it apart and be like, oh, that's a nod to such and such, and this is that perspective. And I find that so much more interesting than an action movie. I don't actually really like comedies that much, because I have a really dark, morbid sense of humor. So I'll sit and watch A Nightmare on Elm Street and laugh at that instead.
Oh I totally
don't
get that.
Consume comedy that much.
Well, that's why I'm really glad that, especially now, there's a lot more sort of horror comedy coming out. Which I appreciate those a lot more than just your average comedy movie. I do like some action movies. I mean, I feel like some of them have a little bit of an element of horror to them, especially when you get into things like John Wick.
Yeah,
all that sort of stuff. Because it's so much darker, right, than just your average shoot 'em up, army dude, whatever, generic kind of action film, right? But the movie that we're gonna talk about is it wasn't even marketed as a horror movie. It's marketed as a comedy movie.
That's what I saw. It was fantasy comedy, and then when I watched it, I was like, oh, I can totally see why you picked this as a horror movie, because it kind of has that Beetlejuice, Little Shop of Horrors meets like Rocky Horror Picture Show, which I consider all of those to be horror movies.
Yeah, exactly. And it's definitely been adopted by the horror community, and there is a huge queer following for it. It's a cult movie, and like in that time, like in the early 90s, there was like these sort of like family comedy movies that have been adopted by the horror community. You have like The Witches, which we talked about. There's Addams Family, Beetlejuice, all those, and they weren't like originally slated as horror movies, but they are horror movies. When deep down inside, they're horror movies.
When you watch it, you're like, oh, there are so many like horror elements to this that I'm so surprised that it wasn't and I understand it was like 1992 when this movie was released, so it's kind of, I understand that they wanted to market it as a comedy, and I actually watched this with my niece last night, and I told her, I was like, we're gonna watch like a spooky movie, and she was like, oh no. I said, no, it's like Ghostbusters and Beetlejuice and Addams Family, and she's like, oh, okay. And when we sat down, and the opening scene, she looked at me and she's like, Auntie Catherine, I'm so sorry I didn't believe you.
I love it.
And I was like, thanks Luna. You're welcome.
I love it. Oh, kids are just, they're the best sometimes.
Oh, I was just like, oh, thanks for believing in me.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, no, and I think like a lot of, but like they were very comedy-esque, they had a lot of sort of slapsticky, especially this one, feels to them. And then there was like horror got into like with the Scream franchise coming out in the later 90s and all the teen horror that came out in the late 90s, and then it sort of like started snowballing again through the aughts, and now here we are with all the remakes, but also horror's having a really big moment right now. And then we've got all these new horror comedies that are coming out, and I absolutely love that. Like, some of my favorite horror movies are comedy movies. And so, because they're so ridiculous. Because when it's a comedy, they get to push the boundaries a little bit more of what's acceptable plot-wise.
Yeah, and I think that's what really stood out for me in this, because everything, my mind was blown, and I was just like, why have I not watched this before? How did I not know this movie existed? And it's just crazy.
Okay, so it did come out in theaters. It came out, I believe, the same time that Buffy the Vampire Slayer came out, and it blew Buffy the Vampire Slayer out of the water in theaters. But from what I remember when I was reading about it the other night, it basically just flopped when it went to DVD.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because part of it was because they think they had recorded from a Laserdisc copy of the movie, so there was issues with how the movie looked.
Oh.
So yeah, so it never did really well. But it got a lot of play on cable. I believe actually the first time I watched this, I watched it on cable. We may have rented it. I'm not 100% sure. Like back in 1993 or 92, I was like 9-10 years old. So like, I don't know if I really remember if we rented it or we saw it on television. But I remember watching it with my grandparents, and my Nana was like, it's got Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep in it. And I was like, cool, this is like one of my Nana's like touchy-feely things, because I think the last thing she probably watched with like Meryl Streep in it was like Bridges of Madison County, and I was like, okay, cool.
And you're like, oh, cool, great, can't wait.
And I mean, I watched it. I loved it so much, and it definitely didn't scare me at all.
No.
But it's so good, and the whole premise and everything else like that of like the eternal life, and I know that I'm like circling around sort of, but like Isabella Rossellini's like witch sorceress lady, whatever she is, with her potion just like enchanted me.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know, and but yeah, and
I
love her.
Yeah. I loved Meryl Streep in this, and I'm a huge Meryl Streep fan.
Oh, okay.
And so watching her in this, I was just like, oh, I love her so. I just love this whole movie, and I'm just so glad it was a fun movie, because the last couple of movies I've had to watch have been really intense. So, and I'm just like, oh, this was a nice break.
I started watching like horror-esque stuff like fairly young, because like in the early 90s and late 80s, that's when we had all of like the Beetlejuice and Addams Family. The other movie that I originally had chosen was The Witches, which is scary. It's got Angelica Houston in it as the head witch, and she's terrifying in it. She's absolutely
I loved
terrifying
the book.
in it. I loved all Roald Dahl's books, all of them.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, so
there are horror books as well.
Oh my god, they really
and I was
are.
Like, I was a creepy kid my whole life. I
Yeah,
didn't even
exactly.
realize it until
Well,
I was
that's
like
just
18.
it. Yeah, when I start looking back, I'm like, no, the seeds were there in other things at a very young age, and so that's why I went back to this, not like one of like the deeply traditional sort of horror movies that as a first one, but this one is like sort of one of the ones that planted the seeds for, all the really creepy stuff I got into later.
See, I got into slashers because I love like the special effects that they did in the 90s for what they had to work with compared to what they do now.
Oh, yeah.
Like slashers now, I'm like, ugh, that's all special. Like, I know that's CGI. But when you watch 90s slashers, you're just like, wow, like they would have had to put so much work into that scene to get it to look how it does.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you had a chance to watch the documentary that about Tom Savini and all his work that he did?
No.
Yeah,
no,
I
haven't.
It's on Shudder. I think it's called Smoke and Mirrors. It's amazing to
I've
watch what
seen,
he did. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a huge Tom Savini fan as well,
God.
and Del Toro, and
yep,
and Eli Roth, and Sam Raimi. Like they're all my horror people, and the Shoska sisters. But
yeah. So yeah, it's definitely, and like this Death Becomes are actually won an Oscar for their special effects.
Wow, I don't like honestly.
Yeah.
Yes,
For 1992, like
yeah. I was like, what the hell is this? How in 1992? I love it. I love everything.
Yeah.
So we'll start at the start of the movie, because this is the scene where my niece, like the music's playing, the musical's going, and Meryl Streep's on stage, and she's in this glittery dress, and my niece was like, Auntie Cat, I'm sorry I didn't believe you. And she's like she was sitting on my computer chair because we were watching it on my computer, and she's like dancing away, and I'm like, oh, she doesn't know where this is going, does she?
Nope, just totally innocent. And
I love that they open with that.
Yeah, they really, and that's how they really sell it, as like you don't realize what the heck is about to happen in about 20 minutes in this movie. And so it's at the beginning, and it's the movie is about Meryl Streep's character, who is an actress, and she's getting up there in years, and she's not doing as great as she's doing still okay. And then her friend, I really want to say they really are frenemies. They're very competitive. Who's played by Goldie Hawn, brings her doctor fiance, her plastic. He's like this amazing plastic surgeon.
Oh, him in the crowd applauding when and everyone's like walking out like, oh, this was crap. I can't believe. And he's like
practically drooling on himself, staring at her. And it is played by the frumpiest character that Bruce Willis has ever played in his entire life.
But I think he did such a fantastic job.
And he is amazing in this movie. He really, really is amazing as Ernest. And it's so funny because just a couple of years later, The Fifth Element came out.
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy is so hot, right? And then I went back and I watched like Death Becomes Her, and I was like,
what?
What? What?
How is this the same person?
Same person? No. Please no. That's so weird. Never grow
all your dreams are shattered.
But yeah, so she, so Helen, which is Goldie Hawn, brings Ernest, her fiance, to meet Madeline, who is played by Meryl Streep, because she has to see if he can pass the Madeline test, because Madeline always steals her boyfriends or her whatever, and she wants to see if he'll pass that, and he's enchanted with her. Like I said, you standing up and screaming and like drooling on himself pretty much, and you know, so then it cuts to like a day later, and they're discussing the fact that she's very upset about like seeing the fact that he went to have lunch with her, and he's like, she just wanted my advice as a plastic surgeon, you know, it's no big deal or whatever, and he's like, I'm gonna go get some cigarettes, sort of thing, and then he never comes back.
Yeah. And then it cuts to them, to their wedding.
To their wedding.
Which I was just like, oh, I knew that, like, I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
But I was just like, oh, I love it. I love that scene.
Yeah.
And I love, like, Helen coming down the stairs and she's like, twisting
bringing that
the handkerchief
again,
like,
yeah.
with, like, her, and the blood's coming out. And
yeah.
I was like, oh, well, that's ominous, isn't it? That's it.
Yeah.
I know something's going to happen now.
Yeah. And then we do 7 years later. And then we find our lovely Helen is not so lovely anymore. She is basically a crazy cat lady who eats full tins of frosting out of her cupboard and watches the death scene of Madeline over and over and over and over again.
I love that. And that when the cops are busting in to remove her because of an eviction notice, her eyes are just like fixated on that death scene.
They're dragging her out the door, and she's like crazy smiling on this death scene.
Like, oh.
She's also put on a lot of weight because, you know, she's eating frosting out of cans.
I mean, if you can eat that much frosting.
Yeah, and they admit her to an asylum, some sort of institution, to work on her obsession with Helen, where, you know, she's in like a group therapy session.
I love this bit.
I know, and the doctor or the nurse or whatever she might be who's running the therapy session, the group session, is like, we haven't heard from you in a while, Helen. Would you like to talk about anything? And everyone else in the group starts to get real tense. and she says, she's like, I would like to talk about Madeline. And then everyone loses their shit because that's all apparently she's been talking about every single time. And then the nurse loses her shit. Or the doctor or whatever it may be.
The just the breakout of everybody else. Like, they're gonna have to go into therapy after hearing about like being at Helen's therapy sessions.
Yeah, exactly it. They're just like, no, we cannot handle this anymore. This is insane. More.
And the thing is, like, I've been there. Like, I've been in situations where I've been, like, obsessed about something that someone has done to me. Like, in the last few years. But I'm sure I sent people absolutely crazy talking about it nonstop.
Yeah, no, and I've been there as well. I 100% have been there as well. And I'll be like, I'm sure you're sick of me bitching about this. I'm sure you are.
But just one more time.
Yeah, I just need to, like, try and process it through, like, because my thing is I need to understand why all the time, which, you know, sometimes you have to let that go, that you're not going to get that answer.
No, and sometimes you're not going to get an apology.
No,
understand why.
Closure or anything else. You have to figure that out and do that for yourself. So,
and you know, Helen definitely does that.
Yeah, Helen, all of a sudden something that gets said to her by her therapist lady clicks, and she's like, oh, you're absolutely right.
Because she says, you need to eliminate Madeline from your head. But all that Helen hears is, you need to eliminate Madeline.
Yeah, exactly. And so then we go another 7 years later, and now we're with Madeline and Ernest, and he is no longer a lovely, you know, celebrated plastic surgeon, which is
he's a drunk.
He's a drunk, and he does restorative work on corpses. He's a mortician.
Which is a pretty cool job.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely a cool job. I personally think it's a better job than being a plastic surgeon.
Yeah, me too. It'd be heaps more fun. And the customers don't complain.
No, they really don't. But, like, what gets me to is one of the moments in the film is when, like, it's obvious, like, how good he is. They're, like, he gets, you know, when he gets woken up by their maid or housekeeper or whatever she is with his Bloody Mary, and then he gets beeped, and, like, he's walking through and he's getting all his fancy gloves and everything on, and there's this body, this guy, this famous person has, like, drowned and died, apparently, with some, like, 20-year-old dandy or whatever, was with him, and he's got this idiotic grin on his face, and we go and you see this, like, dead body, but it's, like, blue.
Yeah. My niece, when she saw that, she was like, that's not real. I was like, no, it's not.
No, it's very not. And it's because he's got this ridiculous smile on his face. Yeah. And I'm just like, I just think it's so ridiculously hilarious because he's like,
yeah.
And he's like, no, I'll give him personality or whatever. And they're like, no, you can't do, I've forgotten how the line goes, but it's like, oh, you can't do that. He's a terrible actor or something like that. Or I don't remember exactly what it was, but it's like, no, you can't give him any dignity and poise or anything like that or something like that because of this reason. And it's just so ridiculous. That whole scene
I love it.
Cracks me up every time.
Because he's, like, so serious.
Yes.
And then gets to that face.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
that face is just so ridiculous. And Madeline is aging now. Like, they're 50 now, right?
Yeah.
And she gets invited to Helen's book release party. She finally wrote her book, and it's called Forever Young. And so she's like, I have to make sure I let her know how amazing I look, and I know, like, she's all, like, overweight and whatever now, but I've got to still look my best. And she goes to, like, this weird, like
a beauty salon or something, isn't it?
It's some weird, like, sort of, like, spa place where they do, like,
New
take out
Age.
your blood and then they do something to it and put it back in
I
your
saw
body.
the guy on the machine,
Yeah.
and I was like,
yeah.
okay.
And
right.
they say, you had this procedure 3 weeks ago. You can't do it again. You can't do it for another 6 months. And she starts flipping out. And then, like, the spa owner is like, listen, I get it. And gives her this card with the name on it, and says, you know, I don't think we'll be seeing you here again. You know, it's been wonderful having you. Anyway, so then she goes to this book opening with Ernest, and she thinks she sees Helen. Because they have a kind of, like, very frumpy, with the sort of a frizzy hairdo kind of similar
and the
to
plaid.
and the plaid and everything. And this woman steps out of the way, and there's Goldie Hawn and all her Goldie Hawnness.
She looks fantastic.
Red dress, which I don't know if you've ever seen How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yes.
Which has her daughter.
Yeah.
I think that dress and that reveal very much reminded me of, like, her daughter, Kate Hudson, in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days in the yellow dress. And I was like, I wonder if they did that, like, in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days to, like, sort of
like, it was like,
a nod to her mom.
But she looks phenomenal.
Oh my god.
In that dress.
Yes. Absolutely. It's just this stunning, like, satin red dress, and then Madeline is just like, oh fuck.
Oh god.
Yeah.
This is me.
I am.
And she kind of tries to sneak away, and I love that Helen sees her.
Yes.
And is just like, what have you been doing? Like, I don't blame you for Ernest leaving.
Yeah,
like,
no,
he's a man. It's his fault.
Yeah, you didn't steal him. He went to you. You know, and all that sort of stuff. And you're like, what? Because you're like, obviously she's kind of cracked a little bit. And then, you know, and then, you know, they do their very superficial, fake, you know, we're famous people, you know, seeing each other, kissy, mad at each other, want to, you know, thing. And then we see, again, Madeline looking at the book. And there's some people standing around. They're like, man, she looks amazing. How old is she? And she's like, 50.
Like, so bitter.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she gets to what she sees. She sees Helen sneaking off with Ernest. And she's like, Ernest, I don't blame you. She's, you know, she's the reason why you don't have a career anymore as a surgeon and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, what are you doing?
I was like, you manipulative
Yeah.
bitch.
She's
What
planting
is going on?
seeds. She's planting seeds, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, then I think then that's the back to Ernest and Madeline again, and they have this huge blowout in the house, and she goes to go see her little lover.
Yeah, her young lover, who is just like, people make fun of us in public.
Go find someone your own age.
Yeah. And she's just, and then it just buckets down rain. I was like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, then a storm starts, and she, like, starts driving away, and she looks at herself in the rearview mirror and gets scared and screams, because she's just a mess, and, like, slams on the brakes.
I really like this scene. Like, it felt really, I can't think of the name of the movie, but it was like, Sin City.
Oh,
that's what it felt like.
Yes. Oh, when the
like,
driving, because
like,
all the rain, and she can't see what side of the road she's on and everything like that.
Yeah. And there's like, I swear to God, because I hadn't seen this until last night, I thought she was going to have a massive car accident, and then Ernest was like going to bring her back Frankenstein style.
That would also have been wonderful. And crazy.
So I was like, oh, she's going to die, and someone's going to reanimate her.
But actually, here's the thing. It's because I hadn't watched this in quite some time, a couple years, I think, but I also, like, I have very bad memory problems, so, like, I it's like watching a new movie almost every time. Like, I know the gist of what goes on, but any details, unless I've seen it, like, 50 bazillion times, and I've probably only seen this one, like, a million times, but I actually, watching it, I was like, oh my God, is she gonna crash her car? Does she crash her car? Does she get in an accident? I don't remember. And so I was sitting there, like, waiting for her to crash her car then. But yeah,
I was just like, there's going to be Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein.
Which, I mean, it kind of is, in a weird way, it kind of is by the very end.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. So then she stops to sort of tidy herself up with all her makeup running down her face, and she finds the card. Which she had actually torn up from the owner of the spa. So then she makes her way to this giant mansion that's opened up.
Spooky mansion.
It's still storming outside. It's all like lightning and thunder and pouring rain. And this cracks me. It's answered by like a giant piece of muscled man meat.
Yeah. In a
like,
vest.
Spandex.
Yeah. And covered in coconut oil.
Yes. Very, very... so much. And then she gets to meet personally my favorite character of the whole movie, which is Isabella Rossellini's Liesl. And she is naked, basically, for this entire movie outside of some jewelry covering her breasts.
That cover her nipples.
Yeah. And I think it's fantastic also.
She looks great.
Oh my God, she does look great. I do know there was, because I have like a little bit of like trivia knowledge about this movie. There was, she did have a butt double.
Oh?
Who is the actress that eventually went on to play the lead in Jag.
Oh, okay. She got her role in Jag because of being a butt double, right?
Yeah, I know. She's done a lot of stuff. I can't remember the actress's name, but yeah, she's done a lot of stuff. But yeah, she started out as a butt double for Isabella.
Imagine having a bum so nice that you're a butt double.
Right? And I'm sure Isabella Rossellini's butt is fantastic too.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
I don't know,
like,
maybe she just didn't want to show her bum.
Yeah, maybe she didn't want to, because I did notice like she is covered like here, or you see like, you know, the shape from the back or the side or whatever of like her breasts and stuff, but like she's covered like from the waist down in the beginning. Yeah. So maybe she didn't want to do like full nudity, just implied nudity, which is it's done very well actually. And she does a great job of just being like, you can tell like she's powerful and she's a little insane.
She's a little bit crazy.
A little bit crazy, which definitely more towards the end you definitely get. And she brings out this box that has another box inside of it that's got like a Fabergé egg inside of it that has this potion inside of this elixir, and she gives it to Madeline, and Madeline becomes young again. Her skin smooths out, her butt and her boobs lift up, which is flipping hilarious, because they also do little sound effects. They're like
Yeah,
You know,
I loved that touch to it. Like, not just like a visual, but it also. I was just like, I wonder if it'd make that sound if they like when my button boobs do that. Is that what sound it makes? And I just can't hear it.
I have no idea, but like it's just such a great moment of comedy.
Yeah, it's so good. Everything about this movie is so I love it.
It's amazing.
I really loved it.
It really is amazing. And here's the thing: is even though obviously it's a movie that starts in the 80s, and takes place in the 90s and the early 90s, and with the cars and obviously the phones and everything, but it's aged like very well. There's no problematic language in it. There's, that, which is nice because a lot of movies I go back and watch from the 90s, I'm like, ooh.
Like a butt clench moment when you can't watch it and you're just like,
I'm just like, So other than, you're using language that is absolutely unacceptable to use today, I was like, it's a good movie, but this one, I didn't have any of those moments rewatching it because I was like, ooh, is this going to be one of those ones where they do something like use the R word or something like that, or use homosexuality as a way to insult people or something like that, which they don't, as far as I know. I mean, and we're getting to so we're getting rolling in the movie, so there's a funny story coming up for that. I'm gonna just tuck it away. I hope I remember. But yeah, so she's all young again. And while she's away...
She looks so shiny.
I know. It just, she looks like, honestly, she looks like she's been face-tuned.
Yeah.
Right? Like that.
Just like a filter put straight on there.
Yeah, just like, everything's perfectly smooth and glowy and, ethereal, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
All of a sudden. And she is just, please just punch. And
she's just like, heck yeah, this is me now. And this is now coming into the scene that is my ultimate favorite part, because while she's out, Helen has gone over to the house and is seducing Ernest.
Yeah, and she was prepping herself by blowing air into her eyes to make them water to look like she was crying, and I was like,
yeah,
that's a good way to get your eyes watery, You need to.
I don't cry.
I don't really cry. Well, I do, I'll have a good therapeutic cry once in a while if I'm super stressed out, but I don't really cry at stuff.
I'm not a crier. No.
So I'm not a crier. I never have been. But so I was like, huh, because I always wonder. I'm like, how do actors just cry on command? And I'm like,
they probably think of the most horrible things, and you're just like,
no,
puppies.
That does nothing to me.
No, see, it doesn't do anything to me either.
I'm dead inside, okay?
I actually have a shirt on that says dead inside on it.
Oh my god, it does!
It says dead inside, but still slaying.
Yeah! I love it.
That is me. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so she's getting herself all souped up to go put on a show. And she gets over there, and she's like, oh, I must talk to Madeline right away. And he's like, well, she's not here. She's like, oh, thank God.
She's throws, absolutely just hoiks the umbrella away.
Yeah, and just walks in and tries to start seducing Ernest. And then she's like, I'm trying to, hold myself back. And he starts, saying about how...
ask me to leave.
Yeah, it's just so over the top. It's just...
I love it.
And she's in the red dress again.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's.
I think she just lives in that dress.
Yes, which I understand. It looks fabulous.
It's
so,
very pretty.
Yeah,
I don't blame her.
Yeah. And then I don't know how they got on the topic of how he needed to. They just basically say they need Madeline out of their lives, right?
Yeah.
And so
let's kill her.
Let's kill. Go, Helen's like, let's kill her. I have a plan, and she starts laying out this entire plan. And
I love that they kind of show the plot playing out rather than her just speaking it.
Because you kind of think, okay, maybe this is them doing it. Maybe this is
exactly
right. It's because that's a way sometimes they do things in film is they'll tell the plan, they'll narrate the plan, and then show clips of it actually happening, and then it's a easy way to get through a lot of stuff in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And so she has Ernest drug her, and then they pour an obscene amount of liquor
All the bottles in the car.
And they're like 40s.
Like,
they're
what?
like 40-ounce bottles. Like, you know, they're not tiny bottles. They're full-size, like, giant bottles of booze. And they pour it all over the car and inside the car. There's like 30 bottles on the floor. And they like have the car jacked up, which I think is a nice touch.
Yeah. That she just like kicks the jack.
Yeah, because they put her foot on the gas and a bottle in her hand on the steering wheel, and then she just kicks the jack and the car goes off the end of the mountain.
Oh, I really love that whole scene.
No, it's I really do too. I love the montage of the imagination of killing them, and he's like, I don't know if I can do this. Like that's pretty like what are you saying? Blah blah blah. And anyways, she ends up leaving, and then Madeline comes back, and she like kind of sneaks out the side there, sort of, and Madeline comes back, and she goes and puts on this really slick bodysuit, like this black bodysuit, because she's like, oh my fantastic. God, they both look amazing. Okay, like they're just stunning women, and she's all just like, yes, this is amazing. Oh, I'm so gorgeous. And then she and Ernest have a huge fight, and this is one of my favorite things, and it's turned into a birthday present that one of my best friends does for me every year and has for like years now. Okay, is she starts calling him Flaccid at the top of the steps.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, Flaccid. Well, I have a friend that's from Wisconsin, and she's got that Midwestern accent, and so she says Flaccid. She says it Flaccid, and it makes me giggle so much. So she calls me every year and leaves me a voicemail on my birthday that's just her saying Flaccid over and over again, and and this is my birthday present from her every year.
Oh, you got that to look forward to every birthday.
Like, I know, it's the strangest thing. Like, it's the strangest thing in the world, but like we're very strange people, so it works. But yeah, so she's just calling him like, and that just like sends him over the edge, and he starts to choke her at the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
And then her heels slip, and then he realizes what he's doing, and he stops. But this is so ridiculous. Her heels are like on an angle for an intensely long period of time. She is tilted backwards on the precipice of falling for way more longer than is physically possible. Like, it's defying the laws of physics here. But I mean, I shouldn't really be like pulling apart physics in a movie where there's like an elixir that makes you young again. But like, you know,
physics still apply.
They still apply. And then instead of helping her, instead of helping her, he just kind of pokes her down the stairs. Yeah, and she goes for a huge tumble down this giant marble staircase, and she is folded up in 6 ways from Sunday at the bottom of the steps.
I loved that. My niece did not.
Oh no! I
was just like, Luna, you gotta remember this isn't real. This is just a movie.
Yeah. She did not like the stair fall.
She was just a little bit concerned about the stair fall. So I was just like, look, Luna, you gotta understand, this is a funny movie. And she was like, okay. And I was like, oh, thank God that's how you deal with things.
Well, you
like, I don't have to give a big explanation.
Yeah, you tell me it's like this and I believe you, so it's good.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's lovely. That's lovely. And so then, he freaks out and he calls Helen and he's like, I did it. I killed her. I pushed her down the stairs. You idiot. And she's like, I gave you a plan. I gave you a very detailed plan. This is not the plan, you dumbass. Did you call the cops? Oh, cool. You called me first. That's great. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
And as they're talking on the phone, Madeline just kind of unfolds herself.
Oh, that's so cool. It looks so awesome.
And stands up. But her head is backwards.
I love her walking.
I know the walking is done. It's so great. Because she's walking forwards, but with her back facing you somehow. It's so strange.
And she doesn't
so
realize.
Weird.
She doesn't know that
she
her
doesn't
head's back to front.
And she just knows that she doesn't feel quite right. And like, Ernest quite naturally freaks out, darts across like the room, and was like, "Whoa, what?" and she's like, "Fix!" Like, and then she sits down. And he's like, "There's something wrong with your neck."
Your neck.
And she's like, "Oh my god!" And she realizes that her head is on backwards all of a sudden, and it's like the special effects, like it's like twisted around.
Oh, and it looks so good.
Gross. It's so gross and good at the same time, you know, because it really does just look like it's just like puttied around, like it's like her neck there was no bones in it, and it could just twist around like that, like the skin was all twisted and stuff. And she's like, "Fix me."
What are you doing?
And he can't do it, so she just does it herself and like twists her head around.
And all the cracks.
The cracks. And like then there's this gross bone thing happening on her neck.
Like her collarbones, like
all crunkled up in there, and it's just it's not pleasant.
No, and I can't imagine, like, I've never broken a bone in my entire... Oh, I've had my nose broken, but that's different to, like, breaking, like, a hand or a finger or, you know, like, your collarbone.
Yeah, your collarbone, which is, like, really terrible bone to break. I only have ever broken my pinky finger. I dislocated both the knuckles, and there was a small fracture. And it's still like, it doesn't bend all the way back anymore, and it gets really... Yeah. With gaming and stuff, I always rebind my keys on my keyboard to I have, like, a MMO mouse that has, like, 100 buttons on it, so that I don't have to use my pinky finger. Because this was 12 years ago, because it was right after my kid was born, because I slept when I was holding her on the ice in Edmonton. And it was like, okay, save the baby, fall on your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have double jointed fingers.
Oh, damn.
And so I get that feeling, like, with, like, using a mouse and keyboard and stuff. Like, I prefer to game with a controller. Yeah. Because then I don't jar my, like, because my fingers will just cramp and stay in the one spot. Oh, and I actually have to, like, physically, like, move it back.
Oh, you get the claw hand. Oh, no.
Oh, no, it's only in my pinkies. Like, the rest of my hands, my fingers are fine. Okay. Yeah, it's only, and the thing is, my nan has it as well. And I was like, thanks, nan.
Thanks. That's a cool thing I inherited from you. Cool.
Back in the 50s, you didn't need your pinkies for gaming. I don't say that to her. I have too much respect for my nan. And she's 85 and will slap me down.
I was going to say, like, no, I could never have talked to I was raised by my nana. And, like, she was in her, like, 70s when I was a teenager, so...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so... And a lot of people are like, you know, oh, that must have been, like, really strange. You know, probably very conservative.
No, I was raised by my grandmother.
And I was like, no... They think, like, church-going pie baking. I'm like, yeah, my atheist listens to punk rock. Like, can't bake to save her life, grandmother. It was terrible.
My grandmother.
Yeah.
Except my grandma, she was 39 when I was born. So when I was a teenager, she would have been, like, 50.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was the 5th kid that my grandmother raised.
Oh, wow.
And, like, she had my aunt, then, like... The next generation, she adopted my dad and my uncle, and then she raised my aunt's kid, and then she raised me a generation after that. So she raised 5 generations of kids, and she doesn't like kids. Wow. So, but yeah, we used to watch, like, we'd go to the movie store, and we'd rent a video on the cheap day they had. I think it was, like, Tuesday or something like that. It was, like, Toonie Tuesdays. It was, like, $1, because we have Toonies, $2 coins here in Canada. And,
oh, we have $2 coins, too.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
$1 and $2 coins.
Yeah. We call them loonies and toonies here.
Oh, really?
Well,
maybe I'll start calling them that. No,
loonies
have, like, what?
Our loonies have loons on them, though, so that, you know, makes sense. So then when they made the $2 coin afterwards...
what's a loon?
It's a bird.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes. So that's what... And so that it just became the toonie.
What's on ours? I think ours is... I can't remember. A platypus, maybe? I don't know.
I love platypus.
Oh, really?
I think they're so strange and weird, and I love them.
They're so weird, aren't they?
Yeah. I think
I've only ever seen them at the zoo, so...
Yeah, I think after bats, the platypus is probably my next favorite animal, because it's just so strange.
So our animals are just really fucking weird.
Yes. Yeah, I can agree with that. Anyways, back to our movie.
Yeah.
Where were we?
So
Ernest
her
has pushed her.
collarbone popped out.
Yeah, her collarbone's popped out.
takes her to the hospital.
He takes her to the hospital. He like slams in, And
I love all the driving in this movie.
All the driving is completely over the top and completely dangerous in this movie.
Yeah.
Everyone's driving when they're extremely emotional, and it's not a good idea.
No.
And this is another one of my favorite scenes because the doctor is like, okay, so you're telling me you like fell down the stairs and like your wrist kind of hurts and there's something going on with your neck, and she's got a thermometer under her tongue. And he's like, okay, does it hurt when I do this? And he like takes her wrist and he bends it back gently and it starts making cracking sounds. And she's like, no. And he's like, you're telling me it doesn't hurt when I do this? And he bends it back more. And she's like, no, I've said no. And then he's like, bends it all the way backwards. and it's like crack, 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 crack. And she's like, no, I told you already it doesn't hurt. And he's like, okay. And then he's like, okay, let's see what's going on with your neck. And he like freaks out when he sees her neck.
Yeah.
He like jumps back. And then he's like, okay, all right. And then he goes and grabs a stethoscope and tries to hear her heartbeat. And he's like, there's nothing there. And he like taps it and he puts it back and he's like, whatever. Goes and like throws it in the trash and grabs a bigger one. Because apparently it's going to work better. And he's like, you've got no heartbeat. Like, your body temperature is like 60 degrees. You're dead. Like, you've got to be dead. And he's like, I need to go get a second opinion. And he walks off and has a heart attack himself. Because you see him later on in the next room with all the doctors trying to revive him. Because he's in so much shock over this. It stresses him out so much that he's like, no. And he goes and like has a heart attack or aneurysm or something, and he's being like he's on a crash cart, and like Bruce Willis is just like running around all crazy, like he's super stressed out and freaked out too, because he's like dead
non-stop from this moment until like the end of the movie,
freaking out,
like 15 out of 10.
Yeah, he's not okay.
No
anymore, absolutely not. And so and then like she kind of like realizes like that she's got no heartbeat and she's dead, but her body is still alive, but like, or like her body is dead but she's still alive because of this potion she took, and she faints. She faints. So of course someone comes by and is like, oh my god, she's dead.
Take her to the morgue.
Take her to the morgue. And this is one of my favorite lines. It's like, when Ernest comes back and finds her gone, and the doctor's trying to be consoling, or the nurse, and she's like, you need to grieve. And he's like, where did you take my wife? And she's like, the morgue. And she's like, she's going to be so pissed.
Yeah, I loved that.
She's going to be so pissed that you guys took her to the morgue. So he runs down there. And it's like, I'm like, do hospitals' morgues actually look like this? They're all like marble walled and fancy, and I'm like, I don't think they look like this.
No, I thought they're just like concrete rooms.
Yeah, with metal. And he like pulls her out, and all the cloud of cold air billows out, and it's very theatrical. And he pulls her out of the body bag, and she's like, oh my god.
It's so dark in here.
Yeah, and she just takes her home. Takes her home because they need to get out of here.
Takes a dead body out of the morgue. No worries.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Well, she walks out. I mean, who's going to think she belongs there? And then they head back to their house, and he starts, because like she's all kind of bluish and stuff now because she was in the the body fridge.
I think because her body's starting to decay.
Yeah. It's starting to like not look so great. Like it's just becoming dead. Like it's still moving and stuff, but it's becoming dead. So he does what he does best now, and he spackles her up with his paint for dead bodies, which is like freaking spray paint from the hardware store, as we had found out
Acrylic
earlier.
Paint or something.
Yeah. And as he's trying to fix her up, Helen comes back and she's got like a shovel and a rope and a tarp and she's like, all right, let's do this. You know, where is she? And Madeline comes around and was like, oh, you bitch.
But before that, Ernest is like, she's upstairs.
Oh, yeah,
resting peacefully.
Resting peacefully, and she's fine, okay? She's gonna be okay. And she's like, what is wrong with you? Like, get over this.
Body?
Yeah, what are you doing to her body? Like, Anyways, so yeah, Madeline comes down and sees Helen because she found out they had been plotting to kill her. And she just casually and calmly walks around and grabs a freaking shotgun and shoots Helen in the stomach, and she like flies back into this fountain, and she's dead in this fountain. And then, you know, poor fucking Ernest is like, oh my god, what is happening? Like, holy shit. Why am I here? What is going on? And then, you know, Madeline convinces them that everything's gonna be fine and they'll just get rid of the body. Oh, isn't it great that Helen brought all this stuff over already and did all our shopping for us and everything?
Don't worry about it.
And then in one of the best shots ever, Helen gets up in the pool and she has got this perfectly round hole straight through her middle, and like water comes gushing out of it on both sides because she's getting out of the pond. And like she's like, well, she doesn't realize that either at first. She's like, oh my god, like what the hell? And they're like, something's wrong with your stomach. And she's like, holy shit.
I love that she's just like, that was totally uncalled for.
Yes, uncalled for. Shooting me in the stomach. Like, what even was that? The audacity. The audacity. And
she's just like, because then she says, Ernest, I'm soaking wet.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's like, there's something wrong with your shirt.
Oh, yeah, your shirt. Yeah, that's what it was. Like, and she looks down, and there's this, like, and it's gigantic. It's like, it's not like because it was like a shotgun. I mean, that's not how shotguns leave holes in bodies, but not really. No. But for entertainment factors and comedic factors, it is fantastic. Which is actually
so good.
The cover of like the VHS case is like her standing there with the hole in her stomach and Madeline beside her with her hand through holding a shovel.
Yeah.
Hand through this hole. So like, you know, the hole's coming, gotta be coming eventually. Like it's
just so cool.
Yeah, and then Madeline and Helen just finally have it out. Like fully have it out. Helen grabs a shovel and like hits Madeline in the head, and like she yanks her head back up all like stretchy like to get it out of her thing, because she's like, I'm not talking to you anymore until you like get your head on straight.
Yeah.
After like beating her head into her shoulders, you know. And then she grabs the other shovel and just throws it at her, and they're like, on guard, let's have a sword fight with shovels. And they are just yelling the most ridiculous things at each other.
I love it.
The entire time. And Ernest is just like, I need a fucking drink.
The insults are so good.
And he's just like, I need a drink.
I don't blame him, really.
No, at this point, you can't blame him. Because there is a lot going on. But they also realize that each other has taken the potion, too. They have that moment where, because they each have little pins that was given to them by Liesl, and it was, they realized they took it. And, like, this is what I love, too, is because the director also did, you know, Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Or was it the director or the writer? I can't remember. But, I
think he was the director and writer for this.
And Helen goes, I took the potion on whatever date it was in 1985, which is what the present date is in Back to the Future. So there's a little nod to it there, which is fantastic of him.
I did notice that.
Yeah, you're like, wait a second.
I tell my partner I haven't seen Back to the Future, but I have. I just can't remember a lot of it, so...
Oh my god, that's too funny.
He gets so upset when I'm like, I haven't seen it. He's like, what do you mean you haven't seen it? And I'm like,
Cat's gonna be out of the bag when he listens to this, though.
I know, he's gonna be like, oh, Cat's fucking seen the movie. Now I know. But it's just funny to like stir him up.
Oh, I totally understand.
I feel so bad now. And because I've also said to him like, I don't like the movie, so you should Like, I'm not a big fan of Back to the Future, so...
I like the first one, and the second one's okay. I don't talk about the third one at all because I don't like it.
I don't really remember the third one. I remember bits and pieces out of the first one.
Yeah, the third one, they go back to the Wild West.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember it now.
Yeah, and
My cousins liked it, and so...
Yeah.
I remember them watching it while I was around and stuff, but...
Yeah,
I do remember the first one.
Yeah, but yeah, so they have that little nod in there, and then they are smashing each other, and then finally they're like, we can't hurt each other. Like, what's the point in this? And Goldie Hawn sits down where there's like a shovel that broke off like the handle, and it's been stabbed like through into the couch, and she just sits down so lovely and crosses her legs with this big shovel thing protruding out of her hole. And they have a heart to heart finally, and they realize that they were both very jealous of each other, and you know, and Helen and her friends used to make fun of Madeline all the time and call her cheap, because I guess she must have not been as well off as them, and she did some maybe questionable things for attention and whatnot, and so that's why she was always going after what Helen had, because she's like, you know, I can get what you have too. I'm not just cheap, you know? Yeah. So they have a big heart to heart. They realize, you know, that they do love each other and care for each other, and they've solved their problems, and then they're like, maybe we can get Ernest to fix us up. And they go and they get Ernest to fix them up, and he does the hole and, you know, the neck again and everything else, and he does a great job. But then all of a sudden, I don't know, they scratch themselves or something, and they are like, oh, he needs to do, because he's like, I'm leaving. He's like,
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. He's like, to death to his part, you're dead, I'm gone.
Yeah.
You know? And thank God, I feel bad for the poor guy. He should have moved faster.
Yeah. And he's like, I've been wanting to pack this for the last 5 years. Why have I left? Yeah, exactly. And then they realize they're going to need him. So they need him to drink the potion, because they're going to need him forever. So they're like, he won't ever go. So they're like, let's drug him. And as he's on his way out the door, and he is like telling them off and sloshing the drink around. And then he goes to like drink the last little bit, and they're all just like really anticipating, like, drink it, please drink it. And he's like, you know what? I drink too much. And he dumps it out and goes. So they smash him over the head with vases, obviously. Yeah.
Obviously.
It has to have a lot of vases, I feel like.
Right?
There'd be a lot of vases in that house.
Yeah. It was huge. Huge house.
It was a really cool house.
Yes.
I really liked it.
Yes.
I'd live there. And it'd be spooky.
Oh, so spooky.
I'll live there.
So spooky. But oh my God, can you imagine having to clean that whole thing?
Maybe not. Maybe I'll live in like Ernest's room. Like a room.
Yeah. Can I rent a room here, please?
Yeah. You can clean up the rest of the house.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part
because
of
I'd have to spend all of my money getting the mansion. I wouldn't be able to afford any help to clean it up.
No.
Yeah.
Or if you could just get roommates, and then you be the messy roommate, and they all be the clean roommates.
I'm always the messy roommate.
Yeah, me too. I'm just chaos, to be honest.
I get it. I understand. I really do. Like, deep inside, I get it. So then Ernest wakes up in a tuxedo. And he's...
because there's a party.
There's a party that they're over at Liesla's mansion now, that she throws every spring, because a lot of famous people... Okay, so here's something we forgot to mention, was back when Madeline takes the potion, she tells her, you know, after 10 years, you need to disappear from society. Yeah. So we keep, like, the potion safe, and the information about it safe and quiet, and you know, also take really good care of your body. Because you're going to be with it for a really long time.
So you're going to need it.
Yeah, and she hints at the fact that Marilyn Monroe has taken the potion, and that's, like, where she's gone. So this party is for all these celebrities that supposedly died when they were really young, and that have taken the potion. They're actually alive and living young and beautiful forever. And we see a lot of dead celebrities in the party. Yeah. In that party scene, there is Marilyn Monroe, Andy Warhol, Jim Morrison is caught, like, having sex with some girl in the pool. Yeah. You know.
And he's just like, are you gonna be here for long?
Yeah. And but yeah, so Liesl tries to get Ernest to take the potion, and he's almost entranced, but he's like, no, this is wrong. Also, but he's like, what would I do if I live forever? He's like, and then what? And she's like, what? What do you mean, and then what? You're young and beautiful. And he's like, what if I get bored? Who will I hang out with? Like, Madeline and Helen? Everyone's gonna die. Like, no. And she just gets, like, Lisa gets so pissed off. That's when you see her really rage and go crazy. And I mean, it is a lot of wonderful camera angles and using, again, I'm pretty sure there's still a storm.
Yeah. I feel like it's always storming at her house.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. And he's like, no. And anyways, so then, you know, the party's waiting for her, and Ernest is trying to leave, but he's got the potion. And she's like, Madeline, Helen, you guys need to go get him.
Yeah, because he, like, makes a run for it. And he, like, pockets the potion, and he's like, I'm out of here. Like, and then Madeline and Helen see him, like, actually put it in his, like, jacket pocket. And that's when Liesl tells them, you've got to go get him. Like, bring him back to me. You idiots. Yeah. Basically. And then, you know, they shut down, like, they close down all the gates in the mansion so he can't get out. So he, like, he eventually gets up on, like, a balcony somewhere, I feel like. He's on the roof, I think.
On the roof. And, you know, they're trying to convince him, and then he, like, slips and falls, and he gets, like, caught on a flagpole?
The rain gutter.
The rain gutter.
The gutter.
Oh, okay.
The gutter thing.
The gutter. And they're trying to, they're like, you have to take the potion because if you fall, you're going to die. So you have to take the potion. And he's like, no.
I'd rather die than spend eternity with you two idiots.
Yeah. Like, you guys are horrible people. You've done horrible things to me. Like, horrible things to each other. I've had enough. So he throws the potion, and then, like, his suit or whatever rips, and he falls through the gorgeous stained glass window and into the pool where Jim Morrison is having sex with the girl.
It is.
Yeah. and he falls in the pool, and he lives, and he's like, are you gonna, like, are you done here? Like, you did your big dramatic fall. I'm kind of busy here. Are you gonna be here for a while? Like, do I have to go somewhere else?
I didn't even realize that was Jim Morrison. And now I'm just like, I just thought it was another one of the oiled up long hair dudes that answer the door. Yeah. And now I'm just like, oh no, I get that. I get it. I see that.
and so then what happens? Where are we here? Because we're right near the end now. I think we fast forward in time again, don't we?
Yeah, and this is where, like, Liesl basically tells Helen and Madeline they're not welcome back.
Yes.
And that they need to get lost.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, oh, we've got to look after each other now.
Yes.
And this is where that scene is where the I'll paint your ass if you paint mine.
Yes.
And I know that has become such a really big thing in the, like, drag community.
Yes.
Yeah, and that it's used a lot as, like, a friendship thing. And I think that's just amazing. I didn't know that until I had a look. Had a Google yesterday.
Well, there's been a lot of really inspiration in drag. They've done, like, characters that are inspired by Madeline, especially because she was, like, the Broadway star or whatever she was, and the actress. And a lot of her outfits are extremely flamboyant. Like, for Goldie Hawn's character, it's just the red dress, and it's the same red dress, right? And then she's got, like, her black leggings and red top. But Madeline has a lot of different, very fancy, especially because it's, like, the late 80s when the movie starts, so, like, they're very, very ridiculous and over the top, and pantsuits and everything like that, or like jumpers.
I love a power pantsuit.
And so there's been a lot of inspiration taken from the movie, and a lot of love for it, especially because it's like it's two women who have a lot of ambition, right? And they're being told that they can only achieve if they're beautiful, right?
Yeah.
So it is like I said, there's always something underlying under everything, right? And there is a very big look at that, about how the pressure that's put on women in society to be beautiful, to get the husband, to be seen as successful, you have to be beautiful, or what's considered beautiful.
And that whole, that youth is really important in that as well. That our elderly are discarded and forgotten about, and that youth is that commodity that everybody wants.
Yes.
Especially in Hollywood and modeling and acting and whatnot. So I definitely saw that throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, it's definitely the underlying theme throughout the entire movie. It's really putting a spotlight on that. But yeah, then we're now, it's like, I don't know, like what, another 50 years later or something like that? 30 years?
37 years later.
37 years later.
Yeah.
And it's Ernest's funeral. And apparently Ernest has turned around his life, finally, at 50. And that they're like, we don't know much about him before then. And then he's created foundations, he got married, he had a butt ton of kids, he traveled around the world, and he spread joy and happiness and love, and he did all this stuff. And then, like, you see the back of the funeral is these two harpies sitting underneath their black veils, and you can see, like, they've been taking care of each other, these horrific eyebrows.
Oh, I loved the eyebrows.
Through the veil. Like, that's how intense they are. And then, they are cackling at something in the program. Yeah. And everyone's, like, staring at him.
So awkward, isn't it?
So awkward. I'm like, would you two just shut up? Please.
Go to damn funeral.
Yeah. And then they go, Helen messes her eye up or something like that. So they're like, where's the paint? I don't have the paint. I must have left it in the car or whatever. So they go to leave. And they're like, Ernest will live forever through his family and everything. And they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's...
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. They're like, oh, for crying out loud. And they go and they leave outside. And, like, they take their veils off. And it is just a horror show underneath both of them. It is just like plaster all over their faces and layers of caked on makeup, and they're all like, it looks like, it's not good at all. and they go to walk down the stairs, and the can of spray paint is there, and she goes to slip on one of them goes to slip on it, and she's like, help me. And the first second she's like, oh, I'm not helping you. And then she grabs her, and they both fall down the stairs, and they both crack into pieces that are still, like, moving and alive.
Oh, I loved that.
It was just, and it's just like, it just ends with like, hey, do you remember where you parked the car? And like, that's it.
They're just like, let's get out of here.
Yeah,
let's go.
Drag our pieces away and get out of here.
Yeah, and like her little arm, like her arm was in the background flapping.
Yeah.
It's just like, isn't that ironic that they slipped on that can of paint that they were arguing about?
Yeah. And
that's how they fell into a million pieces.
Yeah, so much falling downstairs in this.
Yeah.
So much.
There was a lot.
Yeah, there's a
lot.
And
a lot of, like, suspended falling.
Yes.
I loved that.
Yeah, again.
Because it was just like, when are you going to fall?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you're just, like, it's not physically possible for you to be there. Would you fall already?
And I feel like those are where they're kind of bringing in those horror elements, but making them fun.
Yes. There's a lot of suspense.
The movie does that.
But yeah, it's such a ridiculous movie. It's so funny from start to end.
I love it.
And wonderful performances by the three of them, absolutely. And Isabella Rossellini, of course. But she's just like, she's just like one of my idols. She always has been. And so, like, I'm just like, Isabella Rossellini, yes, is like over here, her just being, larger than life itself.
I just nearly lost my microphone.
Oh, I was like, oh no.
No, it's not you, it's me.
But yeah, it's when you, like you said, like, you've never seen it, so going into it, it doesn't seem very horror-esque, but it's like what I like to call a horror light, Yeah, so
definitely.
And as far as I'm concerned, it's a horror. Yeah, it's just a horror comedy movie.
Oh yeah. And the thing is, like, as I've gotten older, I've kind of realized that a lot of movies I've loved are in that horror genre, like Silence of the Lambs, Beetlejuice, Little Shop of Horrors, like all these movies that I've I watched Silence of the Lambs when I was like 10, and I've loved that movie ever since. And it's not until I've gotten older where I'm just like, oh wow. that is a horror movie because it's got this and this and the suspense and the cannibal and it might not have the blood and the guts that a slasher does, but it gives you so much more to think about.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like a lot of people are like, when I ask them like what makes a horror movie for you, there is a large crowd that says, you know, like it has to be like violent and, you know, that, and I'm like, see, that's just what a slasher horror movie is, you know. For me it's got to have sort of, I mean, yes, there's got to be like sort of some sort of death kind of supernaturalist sort of crazy sort of thing going, I mean, not always, but like there's so many elements of what a horror movie can be, and like I think to put it into like a box is really limiting and a little elitist.
I'm like that.
Or pretentious. Maybe
absolutely. And I was saying this with one of my guests yesterday, that like the new horror movies that are coming out, some people in the horror community are calling them like high horror, like highbrow horror, like Get Out and Us and like Jordan Peele movies, because you know his movies have so much to say about society and that's amazing.
I think it's good.
But I don't think it's Sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, and I was like, that is really good.
I was just saying. Yeah. But it's still just horror. Yeah. Like, it's okay. You don't have to give it something, you know, an explanation as to why it fits into horror.
It's just
horror. The horror community wants it as a horror. Like, we'll have it.
Yeah, exactly. And I do notice, like, a lot of the times, too, is, like, a lot of the sort of, like, horror light ones, they're marketed as thrillers.
Yeah.
Because they're more palatable to the general populace that way. Like, I remember going on Tubi TV and, like, under their thrillers, I was like, these are horror movies.
Why are you putting them in here?
Yeah.
And I think that's because Hollywood has a really big issue with horror as well, and has for so long, like, just rejected horror as a genre and as award-worthy pieces of art. Until recently, where, you know, our directors and producers and writers are getting all these, like Parasite, winning all of those awards was just so amazing.
And see, I have a lot of people that watch Parasite, they're like, it's not a horror movie. And I'm like, excuse me. Did you actually watch the movie? Are you sure? Same movie?
1, you're wrong.
Yes.
2, you're wrong.
Yeah, and I'm like...
and it's like Parasite, you know, with that high horror.
Yes.
That they've kind of created a, like, a way to not accept it as a horror movie.
Yes.
So, yeah. And it's really just like, come on, guys. Parasite says so much about society.
Yes.
And that's what so much of horror movies is about.
Yes.
Is our fears, how we operate as a society, and what scares the fuck out of us the most.
Yeah, and like what, I mean... I'm really interested to see how, like, I mean, we had Host come out, obviously.
I still need to watch that.
With the social media horror, but also because of the pandemic. But I'm really curious, because, like, are we gonna get another, like, flood of zombie flicks again? Which I really hope we're not. Zombie flicks just really
I'm not
aren't...
a big zombie.
Me either. I'm really not. Like, I love Return of the Living Dead. I really like Zombieland because it's fun. It's a horror light movie.
I like Zombieland.
You know, it's a comedy, right? It's a horror comedy. And my kid loves Zombieland. She loves Zombieland. She loves The Babysitter.
Great choice.
Yeah. And that was her acknowledging that. And,
I love it.
You know, but I just find them very repetitive.
Yeah.
And
I guess World War Z was really great.
Yeah.
I really liked World War Z. Dawn of the Dead, that movie actually terrified me.
Dawn of the Dead is always going to be, like, the newer one or the original?
Yeah, the new one.
The new one.
The original's fine.
I still haven't seen the new one. I still haven't seen that one yet. Yeah, that's the thing, is like, meh. The original, I mean, it's the original, it's Dawn of the Dead. Like, it has this huge place in film history. And as a film itself, it's so important. So, you know, that's always going to be, like, on my list too. But, like, for myself, like Return of the Living Dead, it's got punks. I mean, of course I'm gonna love it, and Torment's freaking adorable. So
yeah, my grandma. I said to grandma, I was like, "What is the first horror movie you ever watched, grandma?" And she's like, "Oh, it's either House on Haunted Hill, or Night of the Living Dead." And she was like, "Oh, Night of the Living Dead terrified me." And I was just like, "That movie's so good." But my grandma will sit and watch like supernatural paranormal movies, which I cannot digest.
Oh, really?
Because, yeah, ghosts terrify me. Like, I'll watch it, but, like, monsters that I can't see, I'm just like, oh, no, I can't deal with this.
No, my favorite, like, for me, my favorite, like, sort of subgenre or whatever is supernatural, but usually it's, like, when it's, like, something is possessed. So, like,
yeah,
The Exorcist, like, any possession film. Like, I really like anything that really really looks at, like, the Catholic folklore and mysticism, or not mysticism, mythology of that. I love that being mixed in. So, like, and I have a weird thing for nuns, okay? I don't know. I do. So, like, you put a nun in a movie, I'm going to watch it. Ironically,
I actually haven't watched The Nun.
I was going to say, ironically, I still haven't seen The Nun yet.
Oh, because that's the same. That was James Wan, wasn't
it?
it?
Yeah, because it was The Conjuring. Yeah, it's a spin-off of The Conjuring, because the nun is the demon in the second movie.
Well, I've seen The Conjuring.
Yeah.
I haven't seen The Conjuring 2.
Conjuring 2 is
after
really
watching
good.
the first one...
No? Oh, no.
Terrified me.
Oh, no.
It's
so
I don't know
good.
what it's about.
I love them so much. I love them so much.
It's been a really long time since I've tried to watch supernatural horror.
Yeah.
So I did watch Hereditary.
Yes.
Which had a lot of those connotations and whatnot, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. The scene where the head comes off the girl, and I was like,
yikes.
You really do be killing off, like, your main character?
Yep.
What the fuck?
No holds bar.
No.
Nope.
It was, and just so tense with, like, the son behind the driving wheel, because I was, like, sitting there with, like, my mouth wide open the entire time that he was sitting in the car. Because I was just like...
I always usually have, when I'm going to watch movies that are a little more tense for me to watch, I usually always have, like, a palate cleanser afterwards. Like, I'm going to go watch, like, some, like, lovey-dovey, cheesy, like, 90s... like teen rom-com or something afterwards. Like, go watch Clueless afterwards, just to sort of...
my palate cleanser is Forensic Files. Because it's like my comfort show.
I get that.
I literally will lay in my bed and watch it until I fall asleep.
I totally
and
get it.
People are just like, do you not have nightmares? And I'm like, no. Like, murder doesn't give me nightmares. Like... Ghosts in movies give me nightmares. shit that probably won't happen to me or give me nightmares, but stuff that might happen to me, no.
Yeah, for me it's the doll ones, because, like, dolls really freak me out. So I've only watched Annabelle once. And I haven't watched...
I did watch Annabelle, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, I can't remember.
I dolls, like, dummies,
no.
Like, I love, like, the Muppets, and, like, I love, like, you know, the Dark Crystal, and I loved the TV series The Dark Crystal. I binged it, like, in one night when it first came out. I was like, I can't, like, I could not keep my eyes open for the last one. I was like, you can finish it. But, like, and so that kind of stuff, like, doesn't really freak me out, but, like, actual, like, dolls and mannequins and stuff like that, really, it really unsettles me somewhere deep down inside me.
Fair.
That and anything where there's, like, teeth involved. I have a recurring nightmare I constantly have is my teeth crumbling and falling out. So
me too. I have, like, where I, like, touch my teeth and they're, like, falling out in my hand, and there's, like, gummy blood everywhere.
That's an anxiety thing.
Is it?
Yeah, it's related to having anxiety, actually.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, my anxiety is, like, a lot more under control than what it's ever been in my entire life. But I thought like teeth dreams were about money.
No, it is from anxiety, but it's supposed to also signify, like, when you do dream interpretation stuff, that you feel like you're not in control.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
So, yeah. And then I also grind my teeth a lot, so sometimes that will trigger one of those dreams. So,
I have TMJ.
Yep.
So
same.
My jaw muscles, whenever I go to see my dentist, he's like, "Oh, you've been grinding." I clench my jaw. I don't grind my teeth.
I grind in my sleep. I have no control over, but I clench my jaw all the time. Yeah, I always have to be like, relax your jaw.
Yeah, I don't know what it's about. Like, what my sister does it as well, and we're both like, we've got to go get a splint. Like, we have to stop. Like, I wake up with like tension headaches and like my jaw's killing me.
And it's like
my
all in
eyes
your
hurt.
cheekbones and everything. And they're really bad headaches. They're really bad headaches to have.
Yeah.
I like when I had it was like a traumatic thing that happened to my head. So that's what happened. It just like did something to my jaw, and then after like a lot of the stuff that I went through in my 20s, like it was stress related that I was on, so it was like stress on top of like an injury. And like I went to my dentist, and I because I panic over teeth because I don't like them. Like it had been a while, and he's like, and I was like, listen, I have trouble opening my mouth all the way sometimes. And he's like, and I was like, today's actually a good day though. And he's like, let's see. And I open it up, and he's like, he measures, like he has a little proper measuring tool for it. He's like, this is a good day for you. He's like, this isn't good at all. I was like,
oh no.
But the specialist, I ended up moving provinces, and I still have been putting it off forever. So it's on my list of things to sort of get in motion before the end of the year, because you really do need to take care of your teeth, people. You really do.
Do it.
Yeah.
Go to the dentist. I love my dentist. He's great. Once I got a whole filling without, I just had like some what's the word? Like the holes weren't bad.
Yeah, it was just like the tooth was starting to wear. Yeah.
It was unappealing to look at, so it was just for like visual to clean my teeth up that I needed like a couple of fillings.
Yeah.
Because they were just cracking like the outside of my molars.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't need anesthetic for that.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, just go ahead. Like, if you're not drilling, like, into the nerve, just do it. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
And he was just like, you are insane. And I was like, no, I just really don't like needles in my mouth. Because I'm a person that I need to see the needle to be okay with
and
it.
you can't see that. Well, I mean, they could put a mirror.
I can't see that.
They could put a mirror there. Because here's when I had my wisdom teeth out, I was 16.
No. Because they take these glasses off to put other glasses on me, and I literally am blind without my glasses.
Oh, there you go.
So I wouldn't be able to see it.
Work. But when I had my wisdom teeth out, I was they hadn't even grown roots because I have a very crowded jaw, and so I had surgery to take them out, but I was awake for it. So like they hadn't even broken through the gums. Okay, not even close. Ooh. No roots or anything. So. They froze everything up with so many needles, but he's like, do you want a mirror to watch? And I was like, no. Maybe this is also another reason I dislike teeth. Is because I went through this as like a 16-year-old, and like, they cut open my gums and they exposed the tooth, and then he took a hammer and a chisel and he cracked it in half, and he pulled out every tooth in two pieces, and that was all four of my teeth all at once. So maybe that's another reason I don't really care for teeth.
Yeah. See, my wisdom teeth grew as normal teeth. Mm-hmm. So I just have an extra molar in there.
Oh, see, dang.
Like I use them to eat and everything. Oh. My dentist was like, I don't want to take these out if you use them.
Yeah, then there was no crowding, and they haven't bothered you or anything else like that.
I had braces as well, which is really surprising. So when they first scanned my mouth before I went to get my braces, they were like, your wisdom teeth haven't even like started to come down. And I would have been like 14 when I got braces. Yeah. But when I got them off, they do another x-ray, and they're still like, no sign of your wisdom teeth. And I was like, all right, maybe I'll never get them. And then when I was 25, they dropped down.
Oh, wow.
And so basically all they've done to them is fill them because they were like rotting because they'd been like sitting in my mouth. And they're like at the back where it's hard to brush.
Yeah. Like because
they were like, let's just fill them in.
They're fine.
Use them.
Yeah.
The surgeon was like, your teeth are fine.
Yeah.
You can have them if you want.
Yeah. You can have them if you want. Well, he actually asked me if I wanted my teeth.
That money.
No, when my kid started losing her teeth, it was like the worst day of my life. And she's still like, she's starting to lose her molars now, and it's like she knows how much they bug me. So she'll like be like, hey, look, and like she'll wiggle it around at me, and I'm like, no, don't. And she lost one night when I was streaming, and she kept trying to put it in my face, and I'm like literally sitting here on my channel like, I don't want to see it. Please get it away.
Oh no. My niece is losing her baby teeth at the moment, and she sent me a picture of it the other day, and I was like, oh, cool. Why are you sending me this?
Oh, she just said she's gonna take her wisdom teeth for me and make them into earrings and give them to me as my birthday present.
That's disgusting.
Have kids, guys. It's great.
They're gonna give you your fucking teeth.
Oh, man. Also, sweetheart, it is almost 10:30, and you wanted me to tell you at 10 o'clock that you wanted to start to get ready for bed. Okay? She just want to be late tomorrow. But, yeah, so that's... But, yeah, there are, like, some horror movies out there. Like, there's, like, that Tooth Fairy one where it's all made out of teeth and stuff like that. And I'm just like...
Oh, I have seen that cover. And so I have, like, a phobia of holes. Like, I don't know what it's called.
There is
but, like, holes are really close together.
Yeah.
Like, I can't deal with coral. I can't deal with, like, rocks or pebbles that are in concrete. It just makes my skin crawl.
Oh.
And so seeing that, like, teeth guy, there's, like...
Yeah.
Holes, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, no, I can't.
Like,
I haven't watched that one ever. I haven't, and I don't think I will be ever able to.
There's a streamer, Paladin Amber.
I love Amber. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's got a phobia of teeth as well. I'm pretty sure.
Oh my god, I'm not alone.
You're not alone. Our Harry Horror Show, he's terrified. He hates teeth as well.
Oh my goodness, yay! I have to go talk to my no teeth people.
Yeah, just be like, hey guys, I heard you hate teeth.
This is the start of a beautiful friendship.
So, what's the last horror movie you watched besides Death Becomes Her?
That's a good... Oh, I know. Do I know? I watched... Yes. I think the last horror movie I watched... But what was it called? Give me a second here. I'm going to have to look because, like I said, my memory is not great. I know that I left it on a message on my friend's Instagram post because I was like, have you watched this?
I don't even remember the last time I had time to watch a movie besides the movies I've been doing for the podcast. But I was meant to be going to my dad's this afternoon, and like I just really don't feel like driving an hour and a half to get to my dad's house. So
yeah, I watched Housewife on Shudder.
Interesting.
It's cosmic horror. I'm actually going to be watching it again and writing a piece about it.
Cool.
It's very slow burn of a movie. And then the ending is phenomenal. So the ending is really, really great. The start and sort of mid part of the movie are kind of like, but the ending really makes it for me. So that's why I was like, oh, I need to watch this again, pay more attention to the stuff I kind of tuned out. And because once it hit that part, I was like, whoa, hold the phone. This is great. What? Where was all this kind of energy for the rest of the movie?
That's got me intrigued because we just got Shudder here.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes, you did.
Yeah, I'm so stoked because I watched Goodnight Mummy a couple of nights ago, like last week I think, and I was like, I am never having children because the kids in that movie creeped me out.
Oh my god! And
like, have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, you have to watch it because the plot twist. I was like. No, I never guessed that. Stop.
Oh my goodness.
Let me guess the plot twist. Yeah, it will take you. You would never even guess that's the plot twist.
Oh, okay.
When it gets to the plot twist. You'll be
I'll
like, what the fuck?
I love movies like that, though, honestly, when it's just
it was
out
great.
so out of left field and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Excuse
Because
me?
you're made to believe one thing.
Yeah.
And then when the thing happens, people who are listening who have seen this will know what I'm talking about. I let out the biggest, what the fuck? My grandma was in bed and she's like, what's going on? And I was like, plot twist. Shh.
Shh. You're interrupting.
Stop. Don't. My brain is melting. But yeah, it's a really great movie. It was really well done. It was really eerie the entire way through. Like, really, like, ooh, creepy vibes.
Ooh.
It was just really freaking good.
Nice.
And it's been out for a couple of years. And I didn't even know that. Because I'll watch older horror and horror that I'm comfortable with. And so it took me forever to, like, watch Get Out.
Yeah, and I actually, because, like, I do a lot of, like, learning and therapy over my anxiety and my PTSD and everything else like that, and ADHD as well. And I learned that for people that, live with these things, watching new things is very difficult. So we watch a lot of the same things over and over again because it's easier on our brains.
Yeah, absolutely. And as someone with like complex PTSD, undiagnosed ADHD, like I know there's something going on up there. And anxiety, not so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thought of like putting something new on and having to like create a whole new like composite for my brain to put all that stuff in and understand and process is really frustrating. And also, so watching everything I know, I'm comfortable.
Yeah, and also, like, for me, too, I want to, like, pay attention and take it in, and I don't have an attention span.
Oh, no.
I just don't have one. It doesn't exist. I
have hyperfixation, so that's fun when that happens, because I spend a lot of time doing stuff I don't need to do.
I get it. I do. I really do.
Been there, done that.
But yeah, so it's really common for us, like, to not be able to easily watch something new. So anytime I do watch something new, like I watched Warrior Nun, and I got all drawn into it, and I like binge watched it over 2 days, and I was like, I was so excited for myself. I was like, you watched something new and you like paid attention to it, and you didn't tune it out very much, and like you focused on it and you actually understood what you watched, and like the entire thing that you watched, like you got the whole storyline. Because sometimes I'll put on a movie and then I'll start doing 800 things, and then I'm like, I have no idea what happened. So like that's why like a lot of the new like foreign horror like films and stuff like that I haven't watched yet, because they have subtitles and I can't focus, and so I just put on something I've seen 100 times, like The Exorcist.
I'll put on like Evil Dead or Nightmare on Elm Street or Freddy vs. Jason.
Oh, nice.
Unashamedly love that movie. You can haters, come for me. It's a fucking awesome movie. Come for me.
I actually haven't seen all of the Freddy or all of the Jason films.
I haven't seen them all.
The first Friday the 13th movie I saw was Jason X.
Okay, interesting.
It was just because it was the time when it came out, and like Halloween H2O was the first Halloween movie I saw.
Oh yeah, a few of my friends have said that as well. So someone like a guest that I'm having on in the future, I was like, okay, what's the because I usually get people to choose like 3 movies so that I can, say, okay, well we've already talked about that one. Can we do this instead? Her first movie was The Blair Witch Project, and I'm like, lady, why are you doing this to me? I hate that movie so fucking much.
There's teeth in it. You guys can see my face right now.
Disgusted.
Yeah. I love the movie, but there's teeth in it.
It terrified me as a kid. I think I might have been like 13 or 14 when I watched it with my aunt, and no.
I actually remember not being scared at all and being disappointed. The only thing I didn't like was the fact that I was like, oh, gross, teeth. That was...
That's the only takeaway you have from that movie.
I thought there was...
I'm gonna have to watch this movie like 3 or 4 times so that I can discuss it. And I'm just like, fuck.
Oh, no. But yeah, I think I was really upset there was no, like, actual witch in it. Like, well,
okay.
So I was just disappointed. I was
You're
upset.
like, where the fuck is the witch?
Yeah, where's this witch I was promised? Like,
Was there in the actual The Witch? Because I haven't seen that yet. Because
like
that's
the
another,
one with the two
newer
V's?
horror. Yeah.
Is
Have
there,
you seen that?
Is there? Yes, I have. Is there an actual witch in it? No, not really.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, but it's still good. But it's like another one of those like slow burn kind of like
Yeah.
Oh God, what's the one? The one in they go over to like the Netherlands and Midsummer.
Oh, Midsummer.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie.
That movie.
It's so pretty.
Oh man, it's beautiful, but like,
yeah.
damn, that's a messed up movie.
Oh, the end?
Oh.
How everything happens in
Oh
like
my
the space
God.
of 15 minutes?
Yeah.
And you're just like,
What?
time out,
Yeah.
time out, please.
And like,
I just loved it.
Yeah.
How everything was just like, bam,
yeah.
in your face.
Yeah, and yeah, so it's a very like sort of slow moving movie, kind of like that. And another one was like Hazuga, was another like sort of slow burn movie. That one's on Shudder as well. Hopefully it's
Yes, I have
hopefully
seen
it's
that already.
hopefully it's on Shudder for you guys. I know there'll be region differences like there is
think
for
it
us
is.
between like the UK and
Yeah.
the States and stuff like that for Canada.
Yeah, I have a feeling like some stuff might not get classified
Yeah.
here, and that's why they won't put it on.
Yeah.
But an Australian classification is really hard to circumnavigate and like be able to get something classified. Like the amount of times, like, because I work in video games,
Yeah.
and so a lot of games like get rejected, and it's like you've got to cut this, and this scene out. So we'll have completely different edits.
Oh,
To like what the state
wow.
has to what Europe has, and just based on like classification and like
I bet you that's
know
why it took
that-
so much longer to come to Australia versus like the UK.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. To get like the catalog classified and double checked to be released here would have taken so long.
Yeah.
Because I think they'd been trying for like 5 years to have it launched here.
Dang, that is
Yeah.
that's a
And I mean, like, there's even because of classification, like Netflix stuff
Yeah.
doesn't even make it here.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well,
yeah,
I know.
it's hard.
I know, like, before then, like, with Discord, I'd be like, okay, let's have, like, a little watch party. It's, like, my friends from Australia and, like, someone in Norway where they don't have it either. So, like, they're all just, like, watching
that's
Shudder with
awesome.
me. And, like, I put it on, like, the Shudder, like, they have, like, a TV channel that just kind of runs movies all day long.
Yeah.
So I just put that
That's so
on and go
cool.
to bed.
You guys, here you go, guys. Watch this. I'm going to bed.
Yeah,
Night.
exactly. And then watch
so
what comes
cool.
on because, you know, they want to see the horror, too.
And it's just it really says now maybe Australian movie industry is accepting horror more. And I mean, if you look at Australian horror movies like Wolf Creek and The Loved Ones, like those movies are some like people's like cult classic of horror. And it's just so weird that they wouldn't launch something like that here. Like Wolf Creek won awards, because of like the acting, and you know it's based on a true story.
Oh, wow.
And it's just, well, it's kind of like a mix between like all these different murders and stuff that happened.
Okay.
Serial we had one serial killer here, Ivan Milat, who like killed a whole bunch of backpackers and left them out in the bush near my house. It'd only take me like 40 minutes to get there from my house, maybe half an hour.
Oh, man.
So that's terrifying.
Man.
But yeah, and even like James Wan, he's Australian. Well, a Malaysian born, lives in Australia.
Yes.
And he, you know, Saw and The Conjuring.
Yep.
And all these amazing movies. Annabelle, I think he did. I'm not too sure. And it's just like, we have some of the best horror in the world.
Where's our horror channel?
Where's our horror streaming service?
Yeah.
So it's really cool that it's starting to get recognized.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, so but yeah, that's the most recent movie that I've watched, and I think on top of that, I watched like Color Out of Space as well again.
Oh, I want to watch that, but it's H.P. Lovecraft, and I just have a real big.
Oh well, yeah, exactly.
H.P.
Like people were
Lovecraft at
saying
the moment.
happy birthday, like H.P. Lovecraft, and I'm like,
Ew.
how about F you, huh?
No, he was a fucking racist piece of shit.
He was too racist for racist people. Okay, like that's
Even white supremacists were like, no,
dude.
Lovecraft, we don't want you.
Yeah, exactly. I do want to watch Lovecraft County, especially because it is, you know, coming from like it's a black story. Like it's dealing with all of that in a really a unique way. So I haven't watched it yet, but I am going to. I gotta, like I said, I gotta gear myself up and like put myself up to watch something new and get real focused.
Well, see, the thing for me is that it releases weekly.
Yeah, that helps.
And so it helps so much because
Yes.
I don't feel like I have to binge
Yes.
watch it. So I can give that, you know, an hour and a half every week
Yes.
to that episode.
Yes.
And then I don't have to think about it until the next week.
Yes.
And normally I used to get really upset about things getting released weekly. But now I've realized
No, I
how
love
bad
it. Yeah, I
is
love
for my
when they're
attention
released
span.
weekly. I really do. But
Yeah.
I'm also just someone who's like perpetually stuck in the 90s. So like I just like I miss like TV shows coming on every week. Like I miss that. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't had cable in like a decade.
Yeah, I don't have cable here.
Yeah. It's like it's so expensive. Like no thank you. Like
Yeah,
I
for
like
us, it's like $100.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is probably around the same as
Yeah.
like it'd be the same cost.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
our dollars
almost, yeah, it is
at the
pretty
same.
close. Yeah. And so it's just where was I going with that thought? I don't know.
You're talking
Yeah.
about how you're perpetually stuck in the
90s and I
and
like
cable
weekly
for
TV shows and
years.
like I didn't like the fact that like I liked the fact like for shows that I had already seen I could go, you know, and see all of them instead of having to like buy a DVD set. Like I liked that.
Yeah.
But I like for new shows I was like I don't want to watch all of it at once. Like I want to draw
Yeah.
it out. Where's my like this now I've watched all of it and now it's gone and done and now what I wait another year for a whole season? Like ugh.
That used to happen to me with the OC. I'd get because like I'd watch the end of like season 1 and then be like so messed up from that I've got to wait like 8 months for
Yeah.
season 2 and then get really messed up at the end of season 2 and I'm still trying to deal with the end of season 1. 14-year-old me did not cope well with Marissa's death. Okay? I was like on the phone to my best friend in tears,
Oh
like
my
crying because we were watching the episode together, like
Yeah,
at home,
yeah.
like, on the phone to each
I
other.
forgot what
And
show
I was like, Beck, I've got to go
It's
because like
too
I just
much.
can't deal right now.
So I forgot what show I was watching, but they were watching the final episode of the OC in it, and they showed Marissa's death, and they're like, I hadn't seen the last season, and I was like, this
Oh, she
show.
didn't die in the last.
Or was it the last season?
No, she.
But okay, well I hadn't
like season 2.
really.
I'm not sure.
But anyways, I didn't see her.
Season 4.
Yeah, I hadn't
weird.
seen her die anyways. But they were watching Marissa's
Yeah.
death. And I was like, I know it's like a decade and a half later, but this stupid new show that I'm watching spoiled the show from a decade and a half ago. I didn't know this character died. I was so mad. Because it'd come onto Netflix and I was like, I'm finally going to watch the rest of it. Cool.
Oh, it's not on Netflix here. God damn it.
I don't know if it is anymore. This was a little while ago. I never got around to it.
Yeah, because they're always putting new shit on here.
Yeah.
But I think it's on a different streaming service actually. Which, because like here we've got like 6.
Yeah.
And it's just like I can't afford all of them. I've got to pick
Yeah.
and choose.
Yeah.
Based on what they have.
Yes, dear? What? You hungry?
Now, can you hear this?
Yes? Do you have a loose tooth? God damn it.
I can hear it.
You can hear that.
Yep. No.
This is what I've done to myself by having a child.
You did this.
Yes, I did this. I did this to myself. But yeah. So
All right. So, to wrap up, can you please tell us where we can find you on social media and Twitch and wherever else?
yeah. So on Twitter, I'm Immortal_Graves, and that is the same on Instagram. And then on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/ImmortalGraves, but no underscore.
Great. And you said you write. Do you publish anywhere or?
I actually have a horror podcast myself called The Cackling Cauldron. It's been on hiatus this year because it's just been a lot for us. So I've just started writing, my partner Hacksaw Jenny and I have just started writing articles for the website this past month. So that's thecacklingcauldron.com. And then we're slowly going to get all our episodes from the previous year edited and up before we start recording new ones, because we used to do it live on Twitch, and so then there was a lot of editing and downloading and everything else like that, and then doing the audio and then the video and the YouTube and everything else. So we're like, you know what, after we start up again, we're just going to do straight audio recording because it'll be so much easier on us than having to do like a weekly live show. But yeah, so thecalculatingcauldron.com is where I've got a couple pieces up, and so does she right now, and we're going to try and get a regular schedule going.
Do you remember where you parked the car?